So in this video, I'm going to share with you some of the things that you should think about when you are preparing for a group exercise. And this is something that I believe if you are in the process of interviewing for an airline job or a cadet program, then this would tremendously be of use to you. In the past couple of weeks, my schedule hasn't allowed me to make videos, and honestly, I've just been really busy. I go back today and I am like, you know what? I need to make this video so that I can connect with you, let you know that I'm still here. It's just that, you gotta do work when work calls. So the first thing that I'll say is this: if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please feel free to subscribe, and don't forget to drop a like on this video. It goes a long way. The other thing I will say is that if you haven't seen my other videos regarding some of these cadet programs that I talk about, please check them out. I know that it's been of use to a lot of people, and I believe that it will be useful to you also. Now, let's start with the first thing. When it comes to group exercises, you need to understand that the reason why that exercise is being conducted is because aviation is mostly geared towards teamwork. So that means you would work within groups of people of different backgrounds, different cultures, different temperaments, different opinions, and all these factors can make or break the aviation world in terms of an operation of an airline, and especially when it comes to being a pilot. And that is why I want you to spend time to think about some of the qualities you believe and maybe a recruiter or an interviewer will be looking out for. Now, we can talk about all the pilot competencies, which if you haven't seen those pilot competencies, you can check them out. You can check them out online. You can check the guide below. But the point here is that you need to understand those competencies, because at the end of it all, those competencies are what they are looking for. And I'm going to highlight some of them here in this video. The first thing I will say also is this, or the next thing I will say is, you have to understand that group exercises are things that you can prepare for, but you cannot prepare for every type of exercise. I hope that makes sense. So you can prepare by practicing how you would maybe regain control of a conversation. You can practice your body language. You can practice how you go through the steps of maybe teetotaler, and you can practice how you would handle somebody that is maybe overbearing and dominating the conversation or the exercise. And you can also practice how you can get somebody else that isn't maybe as cooperative, how you would get them to maybe reason and maybe buy into your opinions. Those are things you can practice. They are strategies that you can learn, especially if you understand the art of communicating with people. So those are things that you can honestly go online and find strategies. It's more practical in the sense that depending on the scenario, depending on the experience of the person, depending on the age of the person, group exercises can get really dynamic, and that is why they are a good way of seeing how people would behave when they find themselves in a group environment, like an aviation world where you would work with a lot of team members and different people. So when you understand that you can practice to an extent, then you have to then keep an open mind that things can change, in the sense you can get exercises that you didn't prepare for. Some of the exercises you can get can be things like a survival type scenario where you're left on an island and you have to survive, and you're given a list of items to work with. Another one could be maybe an emergency situation where you have a time factor. Maybe you're run out of fuel, there's a fire, or maybe there is a deteriorating weather in an environment and you are required to maybe evacuate and rescue people and do some activity that is time crunched, and that means you have to quickly move through the exercise with other team members and make decisions and things like that. So that's another type of exercise. Now then, you now have another type of exercise, which will be the third one in this case, would be exercises that are geared towards building something or making something work or doing something or creating something. right? It can be maybe organizing a party, or it can be organizing an event, or it might be maybe building, a structure. There are variety of ways this exercise can be conducted, and the idea is that you want to give yourself that that frame of work or frame of mind that, hey, you can practice, you can read different scenarios, you can do all the things, but remember, you can show up to that exercise and it might not be anything that you practice for, but there are some things that will stay. And that leads me to the first thing. The first one will be the competency of communication. And you will be tested on how you communicate with people. You'll be tested on how you respond in a situation where people don't buy into your opinions, right? You'll be tested on how you make decisions, especially within a group. Now, if there's anything that I will recommend to you to do in any of these exercises or in any of these scenarios that you may find yourself doing, is to understand that most of the time the outcome of that exercise isn't really the ultimate goal. Okay, yes, you may have an objective to achieve, right? But how you achieve it can be fluid. It might be, you might have different ways to achieve it within the parameters that are set in that exercise. So the goal here is, just because, let's say, option A isn't the popular opinion amongst your group members, doesn't mean that you have to stick to your guns. And if you understand what I mean, you don't have to stick to that just because you believe that is the only option available. And that is the thing about aviation, right? Everybody can find themselves in the same scenario and make different decisions that are still safe and may still achieve the outcome, right? As long as you keep the key factors that are given in this scenario, maybe it's safety, maybe it's just, making wise judgments, okay? You will end up at that outcome by using the parameters given. And that is where I would encourage you that when you show up to an interview or when you show up to this exercise, make sure that you spend time to understand your group members and, introduce yourself. Let it be an environment where everybody can share their opinion, okay? Encourage everybody to share their opinion, especially in the first few minutes of the exercise. Let everybody know that they want to be heard, okay? Let everybody know that you want to hear their opinion and suggestions, because that is the key thing. When you give a suggestion, make sure you back it up with reasons. Let them know why you believe that action will achieve the results that you're trying to achieve. And of course, let it be known that if that is not you open, okay, let it be known that you're open to other people's ideas as well. You cannot go into an exercise and feel like you want to dominate everybody. That is not good. Okay, so make sure you give people the opportunity to speak and contribute. The other thing also is you will have to deal with a lot of different characters, right? Some people may want to show that they know a lot of things, and that can sometimes work against the group, okay, because they spend time talking about things that are not relevant. And that can sometimes also mean that you may not have the opportunity to share your own opinion. So when you find yourself in an exercise like that, in a room like that, make sure you are able to speak up politely, respectfully, and letting them know that, just considering the amount of time, for example, that you have left, you would like to speak on the matter, on what is going on. So that is how you sometimes hijack the conversation again, if that makes sense, especially if you feel like you haven't gotten the time to share your own opinions in the exercise. The other thing also is, don't forget teetotaler, all right? Now, I know I'm kind of just going in different steps here. I haven't made a script for this video, just so you know, but I feel like I need to make this video, share my thoughts about group exercises. So please, if you're finding value in this, don't forget to drop a like on it. The other thing is, don't forget that teetotaler is very important. And I always say that one of the steps, or the most important steps you don't want to miss in teetotaler, will be the R. Of course, remember the T is important, time. You don't want to forget about time. You want to maintain the awareness of time. Of course, make a decision. That's very important. When you consider your options, make sure you arrive at a decision and take an action on that decision. And don't forget the R being the review. In this sense, list the things or mention the things that you started with and what you did and what actions you took and the outcome of that decision that you made. Those things will be very important to your success. They look for you to do that review aspect. They want to see that you took the time to review, because here's the thing: when it comes to flying, when a situation comes up, they want to make sure that you've gone through a systematic approach to your decision making. And that is a key thing. All right. They want to see that you've gone through that systematic approach and you've arrived at a solution. And while you're executing that solution, they want to see that you are also reviewing to make sure that nothing is amiss and nothing is skipped in the process. I thought to share this information with you. If you have found value in it, please don't forget to drop a like on it. Remember, check the links below. I hope that you would find value in the information that I share, and I'll see you in a future video.